Right, then we're back for the final time. We'll do the main event from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for the WBC Welterweight Championship. Liam with me, Jay will be too very shortly. Mario Barrios will defend for the third time against Ryan Garcia. Now, the first two defenses, Liam and now Jay, who's joined us, were draws.
Sorry, boys.
All right, mate. They were draws, so how often has that ever been done before? Do we think that a champion's making their third defense but hasn't won any of their first two fights?
I haven't been able to find it. Like, if you go modern boxing, I haven't been able to find another example of it. But remember, he was upgraded as well, so he beat Denny Ilgas for the interim, was upgraded to the full champion. You know,
I can't remember that happening.
Made the defense of the interim, then was upgraded for the two draws. I mean, his losses on his record are to Tank Davis and Thurman. So if we're talking about the level that, you know, Barrios is at, you would say he's been handed his world title and then lucky to keep them in both fights. I mean,
is that his only losses? I thought Estrella beat him, or am I confusing him with?
No, he's just lost to Tank and Thurman. Yeah, Ryan's got Barrios winning. Yeah, no, Jay, honestly, so me and Liam watched that Ramos fight on the Jake Paul Tyson card. He looked poor that night. Manny Pacquiao basically beat him last time out.
Yeah.
For God's sake, Pacquiao, who hadn't fought for 4 years or whatever. But I'm more focused on where Ryan Garcia is at, to be honest. I mean, look, we don't need to go over the Devin Haney controversy or whatever it was, but he looked absolutely awful against Rolly Romero, who, if he'd have just turned up and won that fight, he'd be WBA world champion now, because Rolly got upgraded after.
I think that's his problem, Sam. I think he didn't turn up. I think he needs to motivate himself for performances.
But is he going to be motivated for Barrios? He was motivated for Haney, but obviously, you know,
he was assisted with Austrian allegedly. But I just think that the fact that this is a crossroads fight for Garcia, as young as he may be and as talented as he may be, if he takes a loss here now, it is so damaging for his career, because he's on the verge of some big fights. As much as I hate it, you know, he could get the Conor Benn fight. You know, he could rematch Haney at 140, 147. You know, there's Shakur Stevenson. There's a lot of fights there, a lot of potential, because whatever he's done and whatever he's been accused of and whatever the WBC have helped to bury, allegedly, with Ryan Garcia, he is a crossover star. Is, you know, the Paul's mates, and he goes on Nelt Boys or whatever. He's one of them, isn't he? He sells a shit load of pay-per-views. He gets bums on seats of an audience that not many fighters can garner that. Mm-hmm. So he's worth a lot of money. That's why he gets the fights. He's worth a lot of money. He's of Mexican heritage, I believe. You know, because Oscar brought him through as the second coming of the Golden Boy. So he's honed in on that. But I think he's at a point where the fans are like, you need to show us something now, Ryan, because he's dined out on this speed and these videos and the left hook and then turned up and been like, meh. You know, like you said, Sam, if he'd have just knuckled down, he'd have beat Rolly. Rolly's very static and not that great. Tank did similar, didn't he? Pissed around for 5 rounds and then just turned it on and knocked him out. But I think that's what we'll see. I know he's pissed around a little bit this past couple of weeks, and I worried for a second, is he going to make weight? But he's made the check-in weights, I believe. I believe he made the check weight this week. He's paid a fine for the whatever issue that he's had the week before, and I think we'll see a different Ryan Garcia. I think he's going to be dialed in, and I think we're potentially going to see an exciting performance from Garcia.
It's put up or shut up time, isn't it? You know, his best performance, the Devin Haney one, is now a no contest, tainted. We'll never get to the bottom of that. Let's park that there. To then fight Rolly Romero, who we had him as a heavy favourite against, regardless of what had happened. And yes, it was on that weird card in Times Square, which had zero atmosphere, which had very little drama or action. But you would still say, even if, go back to COVID times, say if that fight happened in COVID times, you would have expected Ryan Garcia to win it. It's just, look, should he be getting a world title fight off the back of a loss? No, of course he shouldn't. But we are where we are because he sells tickets, because he generates money, because he generates pay-per-view sales, as we were chatting about off camera. That's why he's got this opportunity. But if he isn't on it, we know Barrios has done enough to hang in there in fights. Look, Pacquiao was beating him with 3 or 4 rounds to go, and Barrios took few of those last couple of rounds, and that was enough to sway it on the judges, regardless of what you think. Against Ramos, he was strong enough down the stretch after losing the middle part of the fight just to do enough on the scorecards. He seems to be the proverbial shit that doesn't flush. He just stays there for 12 rounds, no matter how poor his performance is. And we've seen Ryan Garcia get frustrated in fights before, haven't we? And if he isn't on it, if he is not taking it seriously, if he decides he wants to showboat or just be the clown that he can be, then it could be another fight where you're just left scratching your head, because it's undoubtedly undeniable the more talented man in there is Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, can I just, and I had this not argument last night, but for me, Ugas is so overrated. I just think he's so fucking overrated. So the fact that he destroyed Ugas for me is not a biggie. I don't think Ugas is half as good as what we were led to believe, and I just think that Barrios is the weaker of the division in terms of champions, and Ryan Garcia will make this fight as easy or as hard as it can be based on how his mindset is in lead up to the fight. He's obviously got mental health issues, whether that's he lacks motivation or he's got bipolar or because he
fights to the level of his opposition. Jay's very similar to Tyson Fury in that sense.
Yeah.
Give him a big challenge and he'll switch on. Give him somebody who everyone around him's telling him he's going to knock out in a few rounds and he'll struggle.
A bit like Tio up to the
similar to Lopez,
similar to Tio, but I just think that Ryan's going to be realistic with himself, and at some point he'll be in a room by himself, just in his own head, and I think he'll realise that he's nearly at a point where they'll just. Even the WBC will have just had enough of him. Yes, he brings a lot of eyes.
He's got to win this.
He brings a lot of bums on seats. But as you say, Sam, he has to win this fight. If he loses this fight, we could potentially never see him fight again. Because he's not going to get the Conor Benn fight. He's not going to get the Shakur fight. He's not going to get the Haney rematch. No one's going to want to fight him because no one's going to want to watch him. His own fans will be like, if he can't beat Barrios. And look, we've all said this for the past 18 months, 12 months. Barrios is the weaker of the champion. Conor Benn needs to fight him. Fucking Conor Benn couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag, allegedly.
He'll be there ringside on Saturday night.
But he should have fought Barrios rather than Eubank Jr. But instead he fought half of a Eubank Jr. weight trained Eubank Jr. But he'll be there front and centre with his flipping bleach blonde hair, giving it the big one. So I think Garcia knows what's in the balance, and I think the fact that he knows and everybody knows what's in the balance, I think that's what will make him perform of a level above Barrios instead of fighting at Barrios's level. I think, shall I go first?
Yeah, go mate.
I think Garcia stops him, and I think he stops him. What did I put? I think he walks him onto a left hook, the famous left hook. I've gone Garcia TKO round 9.
Liam, I'll go now. I honestly, Barrios is due a performance because he's been pretty poor, and Garcia looked terrible against Romero. I think this could be a really squeaky split decision kind of fight where it could go either way, but Ryan Garcia will get it because if it's close, there's no way that it won't be going to.
Are we having a 5 a double draw on Warrington 2?
Martin after money line, yeah. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that King of Fitness, I don't think. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Liam, go on.
Look, Jay's just hinted at the draw, and I just think Barrios will do it again. He'll find a way, won't he, to just stay in the fight enough.
Draw, of course.
I am going for the draw, and that is more because I don't think there's enough from Ryan Garcia that he's going to deliver the performance because of what we see in his career. And Barrios, yes, we say he isn't that good, but if he has his best night, I still think it's probably just about enough to get a draw with Ryan Garcia. It's one of those crazy fights. Look, if Ryan turns up, as you said, Jay, it's a very easy night's work for Ryan Garcia, and he can sort of end it when he wants to. But we've not seen that Ryan Garcia arguably since Luke Campbell.
Yeah.
Duarte.
Yeah, but that's off the back of the tank. After the back of the tank loss, I'm gonna go over draw. And yes, it sounds like the easy bet when that's what we've had from Barrios, but I think that's where we're at with this fight.
Okay. Should be very interesting anyway. Been a pleasure to have Jay and Liam with me as always to discuss this weekend's fights. We'll be there for the watch-alongs on Saturday. Do not forget to join us for that. Go and subscribe to Jay's Fight Talk and LT's Sweet Boxing Science. for your fix over there. Jay, I know you've been banging out the shorts for the predictions this week, so go and head over there.
Thanks,
Liam, are you doing anything over on LTs?
Yeah, if I got a chance this week, there'll be some predictions coming out Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, good stuff. And thanks for King of Fitness, Ryan, for joining us. Anyone else who watches after, we appreciate it, and we'll see you then. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.